Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner, episode number 174, The Littlest Angel. Now, this was a Hallmark Hall of Fame special presentation that took place in 1969, starring Johnny Whitaker and also a huge array of actors from that time, which we will be talking about very shortly. With me tonight to discuss this classic from the holidays is my friend, my co-host, the one and only, Mr. Ross Amico. Ross, welcome.
Hi, Roy. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing, Ross?
Oh, I'm just trying to get my mojo back. Been a long day, prep for Christmas and running around and didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Have a headache coming on, so
Here we are.
Here we are. I'm in prime shape. It's the holidays.
It is the holidays, and it's hard to believe it's the holidays. And today is Friday, December 16th, which is crazy. I mean, if you do celebrate Christmas, Christmas is only 9 days away. Well, actually, Christmas Eve is 8. So, yeah, everything is just coming in full steam. So, I don't know. I'm not ready for it. I got totally derailed, as everybody knows, with COVID. So I'm like 3 weeks behind. So. But anyway, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Let's complain some more.
Yeah, there you go. But how about the weather, huh? Yeah. It's the weather in the Northeast. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, I want to welcome our viewers that are out there tonight. Folks, welcome to the show. I see Randy Lee is actually headlining us off, and he's actually joining us on YouTube. Welcome, Randy. Great to see you out there. And he says, still a tavern. We'll join soon. Sounds good. Thanks for popping in, Randy, and have one for us. Craig is actually joining us. Welcome, Craig. Good to see you out there. And Craig is actually in New Jersey. Craig, you know what? What is the town that you're in? I should know that, and I apologize. So if you want to just give a shout out to your town. Christian is joining us from Canada. Welcome, Christian. Good to see you out there. And I also see Martin is joining us from New York State. Welcome, Martin. Jeff Rubel's joining us from out west. He's saying, hey, dude, it's been a long time since I last saw this film. Yes. Us too, Christian, about a couple of days. But prior to that, it had been a lot longer for me because I actually had never seen this film. So, and then also Christian is commenting. He's saying, am I the only one who didn't want to see the second Avatar movie? There's a second Avatar movie? Really? Anyway, we're glad that you're out there joining us, Christian. We appreciate it. Welcome.
I didn't want to see the first one. So I didn't.
Lou's joining us. Welcome, Lou, from Rhode Island. Great to see you. And Jeff Rubel saying nope. Dennis Chevalier is joining us from Canada. Welcome, Dennis. Good to see you out there. And Jeff Curley is also joining us from Texas. Welcome, Jeff. Good to see you there. That's right. And Craig is joining us from Blairstown. I'm sorry. I had a senior moment there, Craig, or a COVID fog moment.
Oh, boy, we don't want that again this week.
No.
Let's see whose names we can't remember this week. We're going to turn into the old guys from the Muppet Show.
Statler and Waldorf. Those two guys were my favorite guys.
I couldn't remember their names.
I love those guys. Those guys were great. They were up in the balcony, always like going crazy. Yeah. They were always heckling.
Yeah.
Don Bethman's joining us from Delaware. Welcome, Don. Great to see you out there. And also, P. Faltz is also out there, and he says, all hail and wet and well met. I can't
and tuna melt. What?
What? Greg is saying it's easy to forget Blairstown. No, I'm sorry, Greg. I knew that. And Dennis Chevalier is saying, I see a VIP eagle behind Roy. Yes, you do. I think that's what I'm going to do. Actually, every episode, starting with this one, I'm going to actually change the eagle up and put different eagles there. Say hi to her.
It's my sister.
Oh, it's Angela. Say hi to Angela.
I'm not picking up. Even under the best of circumstances. We'll wait for that to play out.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, Ross.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think I have a cool ringtone, but I don't know how to work these phones.
It's all good.
These newfangled flip phones.
Oh, that's right. You got a new one.
Yeah, it's newfangled.
There you go.
All right, I shut it off.
Stu is joining us from Massachusetts. Welcome, Sue. And she's saying
There
happy,
you go. It's
happy Sue
Hanukkah
is
tomorrow
bringing
night.
Hanukkah cheer. Thank you.
Is it tomorrow night? Sunday night.
I think it's Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Martin is saying Statler and Waldorf are the best part of it. A Muppets Christmas Carol. Yeah, they rock. They are the best. So anyway, we're here to talk about The Littlest Angel. Ross, I had never seen this movie before.
I'm the littlest angel.
You are the littlest. Hey, I want to say hi to Bill. Bill Scrato's out there. Hey, welcome, Bill. Hope you're doing well tonight. And and actually Country Gate has a big weekend coming up, which we'll be talking about that later. So great to see you out there, Bill. Thanks for joining us. Let me see. Sue saying first night of Hanukkah is Sunday night. She's confirming that. Pete Fultz is saying his mobile phone is Saskatchewan 2-22. And Jeff Rubel is saying, yes, another flip phone. I'm vindicated.
There you go.
So anyway, okay, let's get started. So Ross, had you ever seen this movie before?
No, if I did, I totally forgot it. We would have been 3 when it was on the first time, and apparently they repeated it a couple of times in the early 70s. But I don't remember seeing it. I knew of the children's book because that's been around forever.
Right.
And in fact, I thought I had a copy around here somewhere. I found the text online, and I'm sorry to say, I was gonna, it would take like 10 minutes to read the text, and I didn't get around to reading it. I read just enough to get some of the differences at the beginning from the special, but for some reason I missed it. I don't know what. Maybe it was on opposite something like that I wanted to watch. Another Christmas special.
Now that the original book that came out in 1946, and that was by Charles Tazewell, I think. Was that
Tazewell? Yeah.
Tazewell, yeah.
Yeah, he was an actor who did a lot of radio plays and radio plays. This one was unproduced, apparently. It was never done. So he recycled it, as many people do. When you have an unproduced material, you say, well, I'll use it again. And he wrote the children's book, and it became enormously popular, insanely popular. It's like one of the best-selling books. So there you go. But yeah, the reason I knew about it was, I think I came about it by Googling, but I it turns out, like everything else, I actually own it. So it's like, oh, look, I have a copy of it. It was in one of those cheapo public domain Christmas sets where you get like 50,000 discs for $10 or whatever. And the quality,
exactly what you're talking about, Ross.
The quality is terrible, but it's all about the quantity. I don't go in for those things myself, but somebody gave it to me for a gift. It's got everything on there. It's got Santa Claus versus the Devil, and Santa Claus conquers the Martians, and
all the classics, Ross. All the classics.
yeah. It's got Littlest Angel and all these TV Christmas specials, classic TV. So anyway, so that's how I wound up seeing it this week for the first time. And the cast is what hooked me. It was just such an incredible cast. As soon as I saw that Fred Gwynn was one of the leads, and I said, oh, I got to watch this. Even if Johnny Whitaker's in it.
Well, and that's just it. To your point, I mean, I'll jump right into that. In regards to the cast, I mean, you've got Johnny Whitaker, who was known because he was actually on the television show Family Affair. Now, you and I were talking, I think, earlier in the week, and I was thinking Family Affair came out around the same time, which it did, but it actually was a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. It was, I think, in 1967 that Family Affair came out. Or actually, it could even been 68, but it was right before this movie was made. So he actually was very, very popular, especially with us growing up. Mm-hmm. I remember, what was it, Tom Sawyer?
Right.
I think we were talking about that maybe just a couple of weeks ago, going to Radio City Music Hall and seeing that movie on the big screen there. And it was on the stage, and it was really, really cool.
We were just talking about it because of the Sherman Brothers.
Right.
Because we did Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And John Williams did the connecting score between the songs, before he was a household name for that. Yeah. And then, of course, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Of course. Oh my God, that was another big show that I watched it, but I wasn't a big fan of that show, but it was something I occasionally watched.
I'm not saying that John Williams did the music, although he could have, but he didn't. But Johnny Whitaker, of course, was the star of
Right.
that show. Also, as we all know, I'm speaking to the celestial choir, preaching to the celestial choir. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course you had Fred Gwynn. I mean, that was in this movie, and a couple of years prior to that, I mean, he was well known for having done The Munsters, which was from '64 to '66. He also did Car 54. Where Are You? I mean, he had quite
Right.
you know, resume of credits to his name, and very intelligent too. And I believe he was actually an artist as well.
Uh,
Um,
yeah,
so
he was in a lot of movies too.
yeah, later
Whether
on.
usually supporting parts. The first thing I think I saw him in, the earliest thing I think I saw him in was On the Waterfront. He has a very small part. He's very visible. You can't mistake Fred Gwynn, but I don't even know if he has any lines in that movie. But later on, he was in all kinds of stuff. I think he was in Ironweed and Pet Cemetery and My Cousin Vinny.
Right.
And,
I actually remember seeing my cousin Vinny with Vince, and saw that at the Budco, Ross. Believe it or
yeah.
not. Yeah, I think that was back. What was it? 91, 92, somewhere in that time frame. I think it came out.
Yeah,
Somewhere
I think we might have talked about that before. Maybe when we were talking about the Munsters. I thought he made that movie. Never mind Joe Pesci and oh, here comes the first forgotten name.
What's her name? My God,
Tomei, Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei was.
Yeah. I thought Fred Gwynn really made the movie. His slow burn reactions to the courtroom shenanigans.
Don's commenting. He's saying Fred Gwynn actually had a really decent voice.
Yeah,
he did,
and quite a range. Yeah.
It was really, really good. Hey, Eva's joining us. Eva, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us tonight on this Friday. Jeff Rubel commented, said John McGiver, who's also is the third person up there, hunting the pussycat swallowtail.
He was in so much.
Yeah.
McGiver.
And you know what's interesting? I've read about him is that he actually started out in his career really later on, but within like a 20-year span, he had done like hundreds of television appearances and as well as movies. I mean, you were always seeing him around. I mean, he just had that familiar face, and he really just anything he did. I mean, he did it well. And I remember him a lot of times being like the heavy or the the protagonist.
Antagonist. Yeah.
I mean antagonist. Excuse me, not the protagonist.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, but he had that kind of that air about him.
Yeah,
he was an authority figure. Yeah.
He really did. Hey, I want to say hi to Martha. Martha, thanks for joining us tonight. Great to see you out there. And Eva's saying great to be here. Thanks, Eva. Yeah, and then James Coco. James Coco was the father, and I didn't even recognize that was him.
Oh, immediately I knew it was him.
Yeah.
Well, he had the beard, but I said, is that James Coco?
Yeah, I mean, you know what's really scary? James Coco, when he passed away, he was only like 56, 57 years old, Ross.
That is scary. Yeah.
And I, he seemed to me to be so old. And I remember how, I mean, he had a severe weight problem, and then he actually lost it. And I'm not sure if he went to special measures, but it was something that he really was very proud of, and something that he can, concentrated on later in his career, because it was towards the end of his career. And I remember when he died, but then when I saw that what his age was, I was like, oh God, I was just kind of blown away by that.
Yeah.
Like,
And it was, I'm sure he played plenty of dramatic roles, but I always associate him for some reason with his comedies. So it was kind of, interesting to see him as the father in this film, who was so dour and never really, he wasn't a lot of fun.
No, he wasn't. But you know what? It was very interesting to see him in a different type of role, and that you could almost see his range, and that as an actor really gave me an appreciation for him as well too, which I thought was really good. Hey, Shari's joining us. Hey, hon, thanks for joining us. And she is joining us from Alpha, New Jersey. She's working over there tonight at the office. So
hello, Shari.
Good to see you out there. And Lou is commenting, saying, how many out there remember John McGiver, in Mr. Terrific?
Oh,
I remember the title, Lou, and I remember him being listed as being in that, but I did not see him in that.
Yeah.
I think that was 1960s, wasn't it? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, isn't the guy from, is that the one with the guy from 1776? It's Dozer, right? It was the Batman guy did
Bill
this.
Dozer. Yeah, William
Yeah,
Dozer.
yeah. But the actor who was John Adams in 1776 played Mr. Terrific. If I'm thinking of the right
Oh, wait a
show.
minute. Wasn't Mr. Terrific the guy that did the voice for Kit in wasn't it William Daniels?
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
it. So every 4th of July, you can see him in 1776. They used to show that all over, elementary school. We'd see that all the time. We see it all over Philadelphia. When I was in Philly, they're always showing it on the side of a building somewhere. And
Right.
now on Turner Classic Movies, they show it every 4th of July.
And actually, I think if I remember correctly, Mr. Terrific I think came out in 1966, the year we were born. So there you go. Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Jeff Rubel's correcting me, saying Daniels was Captain Nice. Yeah, I'm getting my
Captain
shows.
Nice. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We got
Thanks,
those
Jeff.
shows all mixed up. No, I don't remember any of
I'm
it.
slipping. Hey, Deborah's joining us from Phillipsburg. Deborah, thanks for joining us and being out there. And also Jenny is joining us from Australia. Welcome, Jenny. Great to see you out there. Hope you're doing well. And Eva's commenting saying Fred Gwynn played a senior partner in Michael Douglas's law firm in Fatal Attraction. You know what? I don't even remember that. That's good.
No,
Good,
no, I don't
good,
remember it either.
tidbit.
But yeah.
Eva, thanks for sharing. Yeah, and Lou's even saying Mr. Terrific was a different show from Captain Nice. Yeah. But
thanks for keeping us honest.
yeah, exactly. Now, also the mom was played by, was it Evelyn Russell?
Evelyn Russell. And I kept looking at her credits, trying to figure out how she got in with this cast here. And it turns out it's because she's married to the director.
Oh, there you go.
I said, there's got to be some connection here. She's got to be related to someone. I mean, she's had parts. She had, plenty of roles, but they were usually as guest stars in television shows or small parts in motion pictures.
Yeah.
And when she was known primarily for that, I said, well, how did she get in the show?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, so she got her moment though. She had a scene in there where, what's his name, Michael, the Johnny Whitaker's character, comes back and gets to visit her, and she has her moment.
Yeah, and I thought that was a very touching scene.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Right.
Thanks, Martha, and I'm great to see you out there. Please say hi to John too. Hope he's doing well as well. Just wanted to put that out there. In regards to it, so this film actually it's a you know what? And Bill's commenting. He's saying that John McGiver.
Well, Giver, Guyver. I don't know. I never heard it said, so who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it is McGiver.
We'll go with McGiver. John McGiver played a total wacko in Midnight Cowboy. Okay. That's another
Bob Balaban was in that movie too.
Yeah. And
Early.
Christian is commenting saying that John Carpenter turned down Fatal Attraction, saying, but it's a remake of Clint Eastwood's Play Misty for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
It's
a lot of good facts today, folks. Thanks for sharing.
Stalker movies. hey,
And
I'm
also,
on radio. I know what that is.
Tony Randall in this film.
Yep. Tony Randall as Democritus.
And then also Connie Stevens.
Connie Stevens.
And then we had E.G. Marshall playing God. Oh, come on. He was the president of the United States.
I know. He got downgraded for Superman, too. Yeah. And
then also Cab Calloway.
Cab Calloway. He was Gabriel.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to, E.G. Marshall, one of the 12 Angry Men, from the, famous
Henry Monder
movie, which kind of explains a lot. I remember that he's playing God. I remember The Onion in 2001 ran an article. The Onion, the satirical magazine. And I remember the headline was "God diagnosed with bipolar disorder." You can Google it; it's out there. It's a very funny article, but it explains a lot. And that totally explains this movie. I mean, what's the deal with? We haven't even talked about the plot yet, but I mean. They basically set this kid up, E.G. Marshall does. Like, what's the deal with that dove? Anyway. And Cab, what a role model he was. He's Gabriel, in this one, but he was, back in the 30s, he's singing all songs like Minnie the Moocher and The Reefer Man. And it's like, yeah, he's perfect. Put him on for the kids.
Maybe he was trying to repent by doing this movie.
Don't get me wrong. I love Cab. He just sang an awful lot of Reefer songs.
He had quite a career, Ross, from what I was reading. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Sure he did. Yeah.
Hey, Vince is joining us. He is joining us from YouTube. Good to see you out there, Vince. Hope you're doing okay tonight. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, and just in regards to the plot, I mean, it's a very simple story, but it has a lot of meaning, and it's on many levels. It is very sad because Michael, who is played by Johnny Whitaker, he's a shepherd, and he's, what is he, maybe 9 years old, Ross, at best?
I think they say he's supposed to be 8.
Or 8, okay.
But see, that's one of the differences right at the beginning of the book. It says he's 4. So automatically I guess it would be harder with a 4-year-old to do all the nuances of the character or whatever for a television special.
Right.
That's as far as I got.
No, it's okay.
I said I'll come back and read this book, and then I didn't.
That was the hook. Hey, Linda's joining us from Canada as well. Welcome, Linda. Good to see you out there. Yeah, and essentially, I mean, he's a young boy, and he's just taking care of the animals. He's exploratory. I mean, the movie opens with him essentially just wandering and doing what little boys do. I mean, he's just playing, and he's just out and he's exploring. And then he comes back to the house, and essentially, he's being told by his parents that, he needs to do his chores and everything. And then what happens is he goes out and he's chasing, as Ross was mentioning just before, about he's chasing this dove. And interesting enough, too, when he's doing this, the location of this, and this is a tie-in. All roads lead to Star Trek, aka Vasquez Rocks, as we all know that a lot of episodes from classic Star Trek, namely the episode with the Gorn, is very well known for being filmed there.
Yeah, the Gorn pushed him.
Yeah. And what he does is they do it very, through different scenes. He's climbing the rocks as the dove is flying up the mountain, and he's going after it. And he gets right to the top. And when he gets to the top and he tries to go for the dove to grab it, he misses. And then what happens is he topples over, and it's just tragic. And then the next thing you know, he's finding himself in a limbo state, and he's outside the gates of heaven. And the movie essentially goes from there.
So who's the guy there on the right?
That was me.
He's holding a bucket of grease and a paintbrush.
Actually, I'm holding a communicator.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you might have greased the ledge for little Johnny Whitaker.
No, it's interesting. I was on a call the other night too, and we were talking about this. Vasquez Rocks, I mean, is an amazing area. If anybody has the opportunity to go out there, it's just right. It's probably like about less than an hour outside of LA. When I was actually out there back in April of in California, April of 2016, and I was making my way because I was out there for Barbara Bain was actually getting her they were having a star ceremony for her. I was on my way to the hotel, and I said, I've got to go to Vasquez Rocks. It was just it's a bucket list item. So when I got there and saw the formations and everything, it's amazing, because really it's just this one area of the rock formations. But of course, when you're seeing it on television, or if you're seeing it in movies, the different angles and the way everything is screened, it looks so much more vast. Not to say that it's not big, but they also have a visitor section that's set up there. And it's really cool, because when you go inside, they have movie posters of all the different either films or even television shows that have been filmed over the last, I'll say 80 years, because I think it goes back as far as maybe even the 1930s they were filming out there. And it's just incredible. And there's like essentially a visitor section, and they actually had like a curator. And I was talking to her, and she was even saying that it's a bucket list type of place for individuals. And she was telling me about a couple that actually had been from Australia that had actually just been there within the last 6 months, and they were in such awe. So if you have the opportunity, if you're a movie fan or you're out in California and you just want to see something that's really, really cool and find out about the history, I highly recommend it to check it out. And it was really, really neat. Of course, it took lots of video and, selfies. So there you go. But
so you're to the point now where he falls off the rock there, and I should mention now this whole thing is shot on video,
right,
and they use the chroma key effects, which are really shaky. I probably even for the time where you have all the bleed through, and you can always see the cables hanging off of people, the wires,
yeah.
But, it would be easy to tear it apart, but it was entertaining and effective for what it was. They told the story. It's like I always say with I don't care if they're telling a story. I don't care if they have trashy effects or not. But
no, and you know what? You're right, Ross, because with this specific movie, it really didn't matter. I mean, there's some stuff that if you watch it and the effects are terrible, it's like, oh my God, it's like, what have they done? Why am I sitting here? Why did I spend $10 on this film, or why did I rent it, or why did I go, and why am I wasting my time?
Ross.
Ross. Yeah. But with this, it didn't matter. The story drives the film. Well, so
yeah. Well, it also didn't matter because with the chroma key, the backgrounds were all the these psychedelic backdrops, so it just kind of fit the whole late '60s vibe of the film.
Yeah, definitely. Eva comments and she said, "Terrific movie. Love Jessica Walter. I believe it was Clint Eastwood's directorial debut." I'm talking about
Play Misty. Yeah.
And then Christian jumped in and said, "Eva, yes, Eastwood directed it for free to convince the producers."
I for a time I was an overnight jazz host on WRTI in Philly. Yeah, I had like the 2 to 6 shift. So I was always thinking about Play Misty for me. I get phone calls all night from weird people. It was great. That was a lot of fun, that shift. Wrecked my body.
Memories, huh?
What's that?
Bringing back memories.
Bringing back memories, yeah. Yeah.
Bring them back alive. You remember that show, Ross?
Now I can't stay up past 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm gonna put some images up from the movie, but just again, the quality was very, very shaky. But just so you can get an idea, and it is available, and I believe Ross had actually posted a link so everybody could check it out if you wanted to, if you hadn't already seen it.
Yeah, that's right. I posted about it yesterday on my Facebook page. There's a link.
Yeah,
or just look for it on YouTube.
Yeah, it definitely it's there. But again, the quality. Now you have a DVD of this. How was the visual quality on that?
Oh, it's the same.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's not high. It's not Criterion Collection. Let's put it like that. I'm waiting though. I'm holding my breath.
It's on the list.
Criterion's going to pick it up and charge $60 for the special. There'll be tons of extras. It'll be great. A voice track by Johnny Whitaker. No, I'm just making it up. Yeah.
And actually, Don can actually let us know, because I know that he was letting us know about the Criterion Collection too when stuff comes around. So Don Bethman.
Okay.
So
all right,
we'll keep everybody posted.
Watch for it.
Yeah. So anyway, here's a photo of Cap Calloway.
I'm Calloway and E.G. Marshall with his egregious cotton candy beard. Yeah. So what is the deal? Did he set him up or not? He's there like stroking the pigeon. We never find out why. I mean, bad things happen all the time. I mean, people exit, without any, we don't know where we're going to go. You could be whatever age, but it seems like as the thing goes on, it's like Michael was kind of lured to the afterlife,
right,
by that dove, and God's petting the dove. It's like, well, what did he want with this kid?
Well, and that's the other thing too. They actually make that comment about children being in heaven, and that it was almost like, it shouldn't have happened. So I don't know. I mean, that's.
I'm telling you, bipolar.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very touchy subject, but it was handled with a lot of sensitivity. And essentially, after he falls, he's not cognizant of the fact of where he's really at. And there's a scene actually with John McGiver talking to Fred Gwynn. Now Fred Gwynn is playing Patience, and he was a guardian angel, and he kind of goes against the grain a little bit, but not because he's trying to cause trouble. It's just that he tries to do good deeds, but he's kind of doing things outside of the realm of what he should be doing. And what they bring up is that any individuals that actually go to heaven, they're not supposed to go back to visit Earth. I mean, they're supposed to separate themselves and work on acquiring their wings and being angels. And as a result of this, Patience, who is Fred Gwynn, who is being reprimanded by John McGiver's character, is being told that he can't be doing that. And Fred Gwynn is saying, well, you know what, you need to banish me to, I think, what was it, the north area of heaven?
Yeah, the far north of heaven. Yeah.
Far north of heaven. And essentially, he gives him another chance. And what he does is he wants him to be the guardian angel of Johnny Whitaker, Michael's, of Michael when he arrives. And he's trying to work with him, and he's trying to teach him, and he's trying to explain to him where they are and what he needs to do. And he's not, of course, he's a little boy, and he's not accepting of what has happened to him, and he really just wants to go home. And it's a very sensitive situation. Go ahead, Ross. You were going to say something.
No, I'm saying Patience. Fred Gwynn is also in the process of trying to earn his wings. It reminded me of Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life, which was 1946. So I'm thinking, okay, well, a little It's a Wonderful Life, but the book and the radio play predate It's a Wonderful Life. He came up with this in 1939, and It's a Wonderful Life is 1946. Another thing it reminded me of was Amal and the Night Visitors, which was a television opera by Giancarlo Menotti that aired on Christmas Eve in 1951. And that one, this one aired for Littlest Angel aired for, I think, for 3 years or something like that, several years. But Amal and the Night Visitor, for 15 years, it was played on NBC on Christmas Eve or around Christmas Eve from the early 50s into the mid 60s, and it was revived every once in a while. But that too had a shepherd boy who, like Michael in this one, makes a offers a humble gift to the Christ child, and is celebrated for this at the end of the opera or the show. I mean, there were parallels with that. So I'm thinking, okay, well, little It's a Wonderful Life, little Amal and the Night Visitors. But it turns out that the story for this predates both of those, the movie and the opera. So I guess Littlest Angel came first.
Yeah.
Yes. Although nobody ever gave credit to the Littlest Angel.
Well, I was just going to say that it's interesting how everything works out, because then the attention is shifted because something else may have been more successful in regards to media, where it got more like It's a Wonderful Life. Obviously, we know how well received that was.
Yeah. Well, as time went on, yeah. I mean, it was not the big hit when it came out that it is today.
Right.
Because of the incessant showings on television. The story behind that. It went into public domain. There was some kind of mistake. The studio didn't register it, something like that. In any case, it was available for free television showing, so they used to show it constantly. Now I think it's one of the networks has it, and only they can show it, because it turned out I think the story was copyrighted or something. There was some kind of thing where they were able to hang on to the movie because an element of the movie was copyrighted.
But what's crazy, and this is something that when Bill was doing the movies that we were that he was showcasing at Country Gate, is that a lot of these films too, this happened with the public domain, where for one reason or another it slipped through, or the rights weren't renewed, and then what happens is it's left where it's almost like a free for all, where anybody can have it and can exhibit it and can show it.
Right.
And this is not something that's like a one-off or a two-off. This has happened in many times. I mean, for something like It's a Wonderful Life, I mean, that's, as you were saying, I mean, it became more popular and more viewed and more celebrated in its later years than in its initial run. But can you imagine being the writer or the creator of such a project, and then something
Right.
like kind of slips through, and then that happens now?
And you get no residuals for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the good thing is from a consumer standpoint, from a viewer standpoint, you get to uh, you know anybody can get this thing for
Yeah.
very little money. But the bad thing is that there's no quality control. You know what I
Right.
mean? People are running these things off in their basement, and you get like really awful copies. Now, at least somebody's taking care of It's a Wonderful Life, so we have great restoration of it,
Hmm.
and we can enjoy it. But it is a shame it's kind of consigned now to a network,
Yeah.
unless you buy it for home video. But they can't show it, for instance, on Turner Classic Movies or anything like that.
Gotcha.
They're
Yeah.
holding it with an iron gauntlet.
Well, they don't want to let that go because, I mean, if
Yeah.
you think about it.
Well, and I don't like commercials and everything, but there's something about having a genuine classic movie on network television that's kind of cool. I mean, you used to have it with Gone with the Wind, and so still they still show the Ten Commandments, every Passover, every Easter,
Used to be on. I think that was on. I think they showed that on ABC, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And they
that
still
and
do
that
it.
was something
Yeah,
to look forward to. And
yeah,
that's even like with this, because this was a Hallmark presentation, and it's something that actually went on for decades. And I believe it wasn't until maybe the 70s or the 80s where the ratings for that just started to dwindle, and it was something that got canceled. But again, this is a different time period. It's television was I mean, you don't have like 2000 channels where you go to your box and it's like you're flipping
right.
through and saying, okay, I've got
Yeah,
everything at my disposal. When you
yeah,
would want to watch something and you were looking forward to it, it's like you got one chance.
right.
And if you missed it, the only hope was if it was a television show that you'd catch it in reruns during the summertime, or perhaps during the holidays when they would go back and rerun an episode. Or if it was a movie of the week, like you were saying, I mean, I used to love watching the James Bond movies. Like on Sunday nights, they would show
Mm,
those on ABC, and that's just one example of films.
right.
But
Well,
now it's totally gone. It's
yeah.
a different era.
Oh, it was event TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You had to be there or be square.
yeah,
If you missed it, you missed it. You couldn't go and buy it. You couldn't go on Amazon and and
right.
stream it. You couldn't go and buy the DVD or
But
even the
don't get me
VHS.
wrong. I'm going to hit the brakes just for 1 second. I love the
Yeah.
fact that you can go onto your cell phone, or you can go onto your computer,
Speak
or
for
you
yourself.
could stream it
Yeah.
on your television. I mean,
Right.
it's like, pardon the expression. It's the best of both worlds. I mean, you
Yeah.
can do one or the
It's
other, but I do miss that
it's
nostalgia feeling of what we
it's
grew up with.
yeah, it's a trade-off.
It
But
is.
there's none of that like brush your teeth and get in your pajamas because the special's coming on, and you could stay up and watch the special,
Right.
and everybody would talk about it the next day and
Hey,
be
and a
all
lot of times
excited.
we got the extended footage that was not shown in the theatrical release, and it's like, oh
Yeah,
wow, we get the
yeah.
bonus. It's how cool is that?
Well, I remember it. It wasn't that long. Well, now it is long ago, but it doesn't seem that long ago. I remember when they would show Gone with the Wind on TV, and that
Yeah,
was a big deal.
yeah,
They break it up over the 2 nights, and everybody
right.
would be talking about it the next day.
Yeah,
Now it's just another movie. Not it's never going to be another movie, but it's they show it with regularity on Turner Classic Movies. It's shown at least once a month. So
I have an idea, and maybe I'll just keep it with our small group here. How about we form a network that is devoted to showing old movies, and I'm not talking about Turner Classic or anything like that, but I mean showing movies or television shows the way it used to be done back, like in the 70s, when we were growing up.
first
And
we first we run all the prints of the Cuisinart and then turn out the lights because everything was all the old movies were all murky and scratched up, and you couldn't tell what was going on. But
lousy prints and all.
lousy prints, I still loved them. Yeah.
uh, I'm not getting any comments. No,
You,
no
you
comments
know
coming
who'd be the
through.
president of that club would be the Hague. The Hague loves that. You
Yeah,
know,
right. He's
the
not. Oh,
murkier the
okay.
better.
Jenny's saying great idea, Roy. Thanks, Jenny.
It's got international support, Roy.
I got. uh,
The
you're
coalition begins here.
you heard it right here, folks. Jenny also commented. She said Sunday night movies in Australia used to be the highlight of the week. Now it's reality TV or current affairs stuff, and everything else is on subscription. Yeah, it's all changed. Don is saying it's the idea that you're watching it with other people. Yeah,
Yeah.
great point.
Which is very strange because I hate other people. I like thinking I'm watching things with other people.
Well, I mean, it's the camaraderie going
The
on, right?
camaraderie. Yeah, I'm not overly fond of humanity, but I like watching things with them. It's like when you used to go to the movies.
Exactly. easy there, Martin. We represent that remark.
Telling you, Roy, the Muppets.
Yeah, yeah, right. Statler and Waldorf right here in person. Martin is saying WPIX would show It's a Wonderful Life at least 3 times per season.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
But yes, it's the idea that everybody has to be there. Everybody has to watch the movie. It was like what it used to be like to go to the movies. Well, not just like it, but this whole idea of being on the same page and enjoying a common experience. Now I don't like it when there's anybody else at the movies. I used to like it to being in a crowded theater with people. Now it's like, I like walking in and I'm the only guy. I have to deal with the phones and the morons, Well,
there's something fun there. There is something kind of cool when you go into a movie theater and you're like, I mean, Cherry and I would talk about that. It's like we're just in there. It's like, hey, there's nobody around. We're it. But what the best is, and I'm just curious. I'm going to put this out there, folks. The best is, and I'm talking pre-COVID. Let's before COVID. You're in. You walk into a theater. You find your perfect spot. And there's nobody in the theater, and then somebody walks in, and what do? They sit right next to you.
And start looking at their phone during the movie.
Or they start crunching on their popcorn, right?
Crunching the popcorn and hacking. Yeah.
Yeah. We had to lighten things up.
What do you think you are, a cat? Can't you sit over there? Yeah. You have to bug me. But anyway, it's not appropriate for me to be ragging on humanity during the Christmas season. So
yeah.
So I'll try to. My headache is going away though, so I think that
that's good.
I'll get better about things by the end of the show.
No, you're on your way, Ross. You're on your way.
Yeah, I'm scarier though when I get all goodwill toward men. It's better when I'm a misanthrope.
Just make sure you eat your hoagie.
That's what it is. I have my tomato pie.
Oh, you have tomato pie?
I had my tomato pie.
Oh, you had tomato pie.
Yeah.
There you go. So anyway,
yeah.
With that, I mean, it's a very simple story. So Michael is trying to get accustomed to heaven, and what happens is he decides that he really wants to go home just once, because he wants to get his box that has his belongings in it, and it's a box that he had made, and it's made of wood, and he pretty much is begging Fred Gwynn's character to Patience to let him go back, and Patience was already warned, but not that he's not to do that. However, what he does tell Michael is that if he promises not to say anything and it's just between the two of them, he can go back, briefly. And what happens is he does go back to, his home, and his parents, and the scene takes place where his parents are very concerned about him. More his mom, because she's being very motherly and saying that, he should have been back. And then the father, James Coco, is just like, well, has it been long? And she's like, it hasn't been too long. But anyway, what happens is Michael comes in, he's trying to talk to them, but they're not hearing him. He goes under his bed and he gets his box, and he takes it up from there, and he goes to his mom. And then what he does is he gives her a big hug. And that's the point that you were trying to bring out before, Ross, that it's just a very warm moment, heartfelt moment, I when
Yeah,
that
well,
occurs.
poignant moment,
Yeah,
especially, you know, when you're separated, when you don't have parents anymore, or what have you, it reminded me a little bit of that moment in Our Town where Emily goes back to Earth on and she picks her 12th birthday, and
right.
just becomes so unbearably poignant, even though nothing really extraordinary is happening. Just seeing the everyday interactions, and being able to observe that, you know, from outside, objectively, it was just too much. And she says, "All right, I'm out of here. Take me."
Yeah,
She's ready to leave her life. So, but yeah, just the idea that he's just taken at the age of 8, and he's separated from his family, and now he's stuck in heaven. And they're trying to make it all, oh, wait until you get your wings, you'll love it.
right. And then when he gets back, he's looking for Patience, and Patience is gone. He cannot find him. And what is happening is there's going to be a gathering, and everybody's going to be giving their gifts to God for the Christ child that's going to be born, and everybody's showing what they've got, and everything that's being given and sacrificed is very, very rich and very extravagant. And Michael feels like he really doesn't have anything, and then he decides that he wants to give his his wooden chest that he put together, but he feels that it's not going to measure up. And that's at that point in time, Patience appears, and he tells him that it's very, he's very proud of him, that he's going to sacrifice this, because it's not so much about if it's gold, if it's silver, if it's a type of materialistic type of value. It's the value that it was very special, and was something that was from Michael, and it was something he really didn't want to part with, but it was something that he was willing to sacrifice for that gift, and essentially giving a lot of credence to that, and a lot of focus to that. And he's almost embarrassed to give it, and then when he does, it comes out that it's almost like it was like a test to see how he would endure. And essentially that gift turns into be the light that's shining, from Bethlehem, when the Christ child is going to be born. And it's very, they tie it in that way to make it significant, and then very moralistic, in fact, that he was willing to part with it. And it was just something that was minimal, in the sense that it wasn't extravagant, but at the same point in time, it was extravagant because it was important to him, and it was a sacrifice for him. And that's what it was really about. It was about the gift of giving, and that's what they were trying to put the focus on and deliver that message. And essentially that was really it. I mean, that to me was, that was the focal point.
Yeah. The last will be first. It's like that in the Mile of the Night Visitors too. He's a I don't know what the right word is for it now. Disabled shepherd. He's got a lame leg,
Yeah.
and he gives the crutch to the as a gift for the Christ child, and he's able to walk. Then he's healed.
Right.
So yes, same kind of thing. This they chose wisely. Unlike Julian Glover drinking from the gold chalice.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. No, that's a great analogy though, because he's looking for something that's going to be, like, epic, and it's going to stand out, and it's going to be something, because he even sees it, and he goes, I forget the exact quote, but it's this is truly the gift of King of Kings, and it's so shiny and beautiful. And then the water he drinks from it, pretty much, well, everybody knows what happens to Julian Glover in that movie. But
couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
And just for the record, Julian Glover is a really nice guy. I actually had the privilege of talking to him with others from the Space 1999 group, because when Warren did the convention, the virtual convention, him and Isla Blair, his wife, who was also in that movie at the beginning of that movie, they both were in Space 1999 episodes, and they attended the virtual convention last year in 2021, and they were very, very, very nice people. So just putting that out hereafter. Unlike the character he played in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade.
Yeah. I told you I saw him in a prison or an Avengers episode, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Might have been the episode.
Actually, he was in a Doctor Who episode too, the one with Catherine Schell.
Right. Well, we saw that. Yeah. But the Avengers was 10 years earlier than that, even. So
I actually saw part of that, Ross, and he looks so young. I mean, it was. I think that was probably like in what 66, 68, somewhere around there.
Maybe 65.
Yeah.
For the Avengers,
right? Because it was in black and white too. It was the one with
Diana
Blackman. Yeah.
So. Well, it was right, but I think it was the episode before the one we did, the Christmas tree episode.
Right.
Too many Christmas trees. Yeah, so 65, Diana Rigg. Yeah.
Martin said he was also in.
Oh, right. He was in The Empire Strikes Back. Right. Yeah.
General Veers.
He was the one in in the Imperial Walker. Yeah.
Sue's commenting. She's saying in the U.S., Sunday nights featured the ABC Sunday night movie along with the Wonderful World of Disney. From April 1962 through August 1998, it was appointment TV for many families. Yeah, it was on 7, and Walt Disney was on at 7 p.m. on NBC. And trivia question, Sue, who was the announcer that did the Wonderful World of Disney? Do you know who that was?
Who was it, Roy?
Let's see if Sue knows.
Google fast, Sue.
Yeah, Google fast. Yeah, actually, no Googling. Googling's not allowed. Actually, it was Dick Tufeld who did the voice of the robot and also was the narrator in Lost in Space.
There you go.
There you go.
Wasn't Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom also Sunday night, or was that another night? It wasn't the same network.
No, I don't think so.
Marlon Perkins.
It
was from the era when I was watching, Wonderful World of Disney or Wonderful World of Disney.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, because then for a long time there was nothing on Sunday nights.
No.
There was that wasteland. It was 60 minutes and then nothing. Unless you had movie of the week,
Right. Which wasn't on until like around 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
Which is why we were always watching James Bond or Clint Eastwood movies. The Gauntlet. Or Outlaw Josie Wales. High Plains Drifter was one they always showed. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, in regards to this movie though, it's very simplistic. It's not a very long film, but it is like we were saying, the cast is very well rounded. In regards to long appearances, they're not, but it's the idea that they all wanted to be a part of it. And I think it's almost like with I don't know if it's at this scope, but like with the Batman TV series, I mean, a lot of the famous actors wanted to be the villains on that show. And with this, I think that the fact that it was something that was being showcased, I think at that time in that era of television, I think a lot of those actors, performers, it actually gave them an opportunity to be seen, and that was something that they really wanted to do.
Yeah,
and obviously it's work too.
And I wonder if they looked at it as a possibility with a successful Christmas special. They may have been just starting to realize that if something hit, they were going to be showing it every year.
Yeah,
which is a good thing,
right?
From a not just a residual standpoint, but to have your face out there year after year after year. So
yeah,
it's interesting. The Hallmark Hall of Fame, I was looking into the history of that. And I guess it was on TV supposedly it's the longest running primetime television series. I never really thought about that because, you always think about Gunsmoke and, they're always the same few that they're always bandying. But I guess Hallmark Hall of Fame began as Hallmark Television Playhouse in 1951. But before that, they were on the radio. So
yeah.
Hallmark goes all the way, obviously sponsored by the Hallmark cards. But, then they made the move to their own network, I guess, in the 90s.
Right.
So how long is the Hallmark? I guess the Hallmark network was launched in 1992. 2014, I guess they moved it over to the Hallmark channel, but it bounced around all the different networks. Like it was on NBC, then it was on CBS, and then it was on PBS very briefly, and then it was on ABC. But there was a time that when Hallmark had its name on it, you knew you were going to get like a quality special.
Right.
And in fact, I was looking at the earlier stuff. It's like, oh my God, they were doing Shakespeare, regularly on these things. I mean, amazing actors. Yeah.
They did Hamlet. They did Richard the Second. They did The Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah. They did Macbeth with Morris Evans, Dr. Zaius.
Yep.
And Dame Judith Anderson, as Lady Macbeth. It's like, wow, why don't we have stuff like that on network television now?
I know, right? Laurence Olivier was a part of it.
Right. Peter
Ustinov, Richard Burton, Julie Harris. I mean, these were Broadway actors and stars. I mean, it's pretty significant.
Yeah, and now you go to the Hallmark channel, and it's just all bad romances. I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving it a fair shake because I don't watch it 24 hours a day. But
well, no, you brought up something though that's very true though too, Ross. Because if it had that stamp on it, it really meant it was almost like it signified quality, and you took it seriously. Which it was almost like, okay, if they're putting their label on it, it's going to be good. And it went on for a long time, like you said. I mean, it went through a lot of metamorphosing because it evolved and changed. But growing up, I mean, when we would hear that was going to be on, it was like, oh, okay, this is going to be cool. I mean, this is going to be something that's going to be significant. It wasn't just like a regular movie that was like your movie of the week or something that was just on one of the networks. And again, this is before there were all these channels and all these, different types of cable outlets that were available. I mean, back in the day, I mean, in the 70s, I mean, we've talked about this on the show. It was HBO, and then there was Prism. I mean, at least in this area, I mean, it was the two, and that was it. That was the premium channel. I mean, you went to your black box, and it essentially said premium, and you just changed it, and it's like, okay, wow, we got HBO. This is really cool. Or, oh wow, we got Prism. We're actually gonna be able to watch movies. This is really
Beastmaster.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I guess it was 80s, but
that was 82, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know
Don commented, he said, all that walking around stars reminded me of Jack Horkheimer, the Star Hustler, shown late at night on PBS after Doctor Who and Blake.
Do you remember him on WHYY? Do you remember that?
I don't.
Keep looking up.
I think that's pretty awesome.
They had this old electronic Debussy playing. It must have been Tomita or something. But yeah, that's when I knew it was bedtime after watching Jack Horkheimer.
It's either that or you get the signal saying, or the American flag, and then they're doing the national anthem, and then it just goes to the high pitched signal where essentially there's no TV for the next like 5 hours.
He'd always discuss some astronomical. He was from some observatory somewhere, and he'd talk about the heavens. But yeah, absolutely. But he's talking about the chroma key effects because it was just like that on his.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and we're talking about in the 80s, I guess, when that was on. Yeah,
she's commenting. She's like, I remember the Star Hustler. I like Jack H.
Yeah.
Martin commented. He said Hallmark Channel is now akin to the Harlequin.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So you say like the Hallmark Hall of Fame things were special. The National Geographic specials, were a big deal. Remember that before there was a National Geographic channel? Yeah. I mean, these were things where it's like, ooh, we'll circle that,
Oh man, I mean, even when their theme came on for the National Geographic, that grabbed you alone. I mean, it's like, okay, this is gonna be really cool.
Elmer Bernstein, yeah,
that was some serious stuff.
Yeah. So we've managed to talk about. Well, we didn't talk about the director of the thing. We other than the fact that we said he was married to Evelyn Russell,
right?
Who played the mother. But he was involved with a lot of specials. That was like his thing. He produced or he directed Once Upon a Mattress with Carol Burnett. He produced Barbara Streisand and directed Barbara Streisand's television debut, which was what was it called? My Name is Barbara. Then Color Me Barbara. He produced, the follow up to that. He Paul Lynde specials. Hal
Oh,
Linton specials. If there was a special, this guy was involved. Um,
it's funny you mentioned Once Upon a Mattress, because back in high school, I think it was 82. I was our sophomore year. No. Yes. No. Junior
yeah,
year. No. Sophomore. Sophomore year.
yeah. Well, it depends on what part of '82, but yeah,
Yeah. No. This is true. I think it was our sophomore year. When I say we, Joe, your cousin Joe Metz, myself, we were in that, and we played knights in that, and
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, and we always talked about, because that was what, that play was known because of Cara Burnett, and at that point in time, oh my God, she did it such a long time ago. She did it like in the early, I think she did that in the early 60s, if not maybe the late 50s. I think it was early 60s. And looking back, it was only maybe like at that time 17 years prior.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's crazy. I
Crazy.
must have seen that production because I know I saw somebody do Once Upon a Mattress at a high school someplace. I may have. Where was it? At Phillipsburg? Is that where you did
Phillipsburg.
it?
Yeah, we did that at the high
Yeah,
school.
I probably saw that.
If Eva's
Yeah.
still out there, Eva, do you remember that? Because we went to Eva went to high school with us, so that'd be kind of cool.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Joe
And then
Brickman, Joe, he's not out there tonight, but he was one of the knights as well too. It was Joe Metz, Joe Brickman, and myself. We were the three knights.
yeah.
Somewhere I got a picture of that. I could post it. I have to dig that up. Goodness.
So this guy Joe Layton did all these TV specials. I found it interesting. He also produced was it Richard Pryor Live on the Sunset Strip?
Okay.
I think it's quite a leap from Richard Pryor to the Littlest Angel, but
yeah, right.
And he also produced Annie, the 1982 film version.
Yes,
he was the executive producer on that. John Huston directed it with Albert Finney as Daddy Warbucks. Yeah, so he was involved with all that. The biggest talent involved with the whole thing, though, was Lon O'Coon. Lon O'Coon was the guy who was responsible for the songs and also the script. He co-wrote it, but he wrote all the music and all the songs for the show.
There he is.
There he is now. Yeah, it's a very late photo of Lon O'Coon. But he went to New York's High School of Music and Art.
Dramatic Arts.
And then he went to Syracuse University. But he wrote a lot of screenplays, a lot of screenwriting, teleplays, and that sort of thing. He was the brother-in-law of Sherry Lewis. Sorry,
Ross.
Should we start it? We'll just cut this together later on.
No, you know what's funny? You said that. I did come across that.
Yeah,
Sherry Lewis is in Lamb Chops.
Yeah. The ventriloquist Sherry Lewis with Lamb Chop, and he just churned these things. Well, he wrote for a lot of things. I mean, he wrote for Love Boat. He wrote for the new Twilight Zone. I think the Twilight Zone in the 80s he must have written for. Star Trek: The Next Generation. Apparently, do you recognize his name? Lan O'Coon. He did something for Star. He wrote at least one of the episodes for Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Really, and I missed that. Oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then for some reason he got involved because he's American. For some reason he got involved with British television too. He did That Was the Week That Was with David Frost, and also there was a popular children's show which I've heard of, but I don't think I've ever seen it. It's called Tales of the Riverbank. That he did a lot for. In fact, I don't know if he was one of the creators of that or not, but but he was a writing machine, especially for Sherry Lewis. He wrote hundreds of these bits for her and won an Emmy for it. And he also did another Christmas movie called The Juggler of Notre Dame, which I believe is made into an opera by Jules Massenet. Nobody's going to know what the hell I'm talking about now, but it's the same plot. But it was a Christmas special. He won an Emmy for that also. But he did the music for this, and I thought it very interesting because you had the expected, like the holy schmoly stuff, but then you had like the go for broke Broadway showstoppers. It's like, what is this doing in heaven? I started chuckling to myself. You have the men's chorus and the guys jumping on the trampolines and doing handstands and stuff. And I said, this is like a Mel Brooks number. So I'm looking at the end credits there, And sure enough, the guy who did the arrangements and the orchestrations was John Morris, who did all the Mel Brooks movies.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, he did 20 Mel Brooks movies and worked with Gene Wilder. Did all the Gene Wilder films that he made after Young Frankenstein, and he did Clue. But he has a very splashy Broadway kind of, he did the producers, and he did the musical number in Blazing Saddles, and the Inquisition, from History of the World,
right?
All those big
History of the World Part 1.
Yeah, History of the World Part 1, right?
Still waiting for Part 2, Ross.
Yeah, so Lano Kun didn't do that. John Morris did those, but that sound was evident through any of the up tempo numbers that they did in the show. So, but he also had a foot in. No, not Sherry Lewis.
No.
But she did. Didn't you tell me Sherry Lewis did write something for?
She wrote The Lights of Zatar, which was a 3rd season episode, and her goal was to actually, she wrote the character of Mira Romaine so that she could actually be cast in that role. But what happened was they went with
Lamb Chop.
No, they didn't go with Lamb Chop. They went with actress Jan Sutton, and she played the part, unfortunately. And Jan Sutton did a really nice job with that. But yeah, but no, that's right about that. Good memory on that, Martin. Yeah, we had talked about that on the show. And in regards to Lano Kun, he actually wrote the 1st season episode called Haven, which was of Star Trek: The Next Generation, which was the introductory episode that dealt with Lwaxana Troi, who was Majel Barrett, Gene Roddenberry's wife, who was Christine Chapel in the original series, but she played Troy's mom. And it was almost like, if I remember the episode, I haven't seen this episode in years, it was almost like a prearranged marriage, and she was going to maybe marry this. I think the character's name was Wyatt, but then what happens is Wyatt winds up being drawn to someone else. That it's almost like a telepathic connection, and then he goes to be with this other woman. But anyway, that's that. So I do remember the episode that he did do, Ross, and I'm sure folks out there did too.
On the musical side, he was
Sherry's saying,
wow.
Yeah, Sherry's saying, Sherry Lee Lewis, my namesake. They called me Lamb Chops in college. Lots of laughs.
There's a hardware. What's that? There's a hardware store here in Princeton that I go to get my bird seed, and at the checkout, for some reason, they got all kinds of stuff to try to get you to pick up a knickknack on the way out. But for some reason, they have a whole bunch of Lamb Chop, Sherry Lewis Lamb Chop puppets up at the checkout. So
really?
Is there a significance to this? I think it's just playing on nostalgia. There's nothing now with Lamb Chop. Is there going on that's current? Because they have all like Gumbies and stuff usually when I go through. It's usually stuff that's on the periphery of 50-year-olds' memories. But
they're tapping into us, Ross. They're tapping into us.
So musically, he worked with Barbra Streisand. He worked with Frank Sinatra. He worked with Glenn Campbell, Duke Ellington, Peggy Lee, and he had he had some game attempts at writing for Broadway. He did a show with Sammy Cahn, the guy who wrote "Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow" and High Hopes, and Sammy Cahn has like an endless string of hits. But he collaborated with Sammy Cahn on a Broadway musical called Coming of Age, which is probably maybe a Sammy Cahn's only bomb. I don't know, but I haven't heard of it. Maybe it's known, maybe it's not. But he did Pickwick, which was a Charles Dickens musical. So he had an active career. And I found it very interesting that one of his sisters-in-law was Sherry Lewis, and another one was Judith Krantz. You remember Judith Krantz, who wrote all the bestseller, the pop bestseller novels? Yeah,
I recognize the name. Yeah.
So, what a family that was.
Wow, you're not joking. Linda commented and said, "That's what I called my dog, Lanny Lamb Chop." And Sue said, high hopes, it off to works we go. Lots of laughs.
Wrong Disney movie. He did work on the only reason I say wrong Disney movie is because he did work on Peter, not Lon, but Sammy Cahn worked on Peter Pan. He did You Can Fly, You Can Fly, You Can Fly, and at least one of the other songs. in Peter
Gotcha.
Pan.
Linda's saying my old dog that I adopted with her actually looked like Lamb Chop.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about wow. What a connection though.
Yeah.
All you talk about all roads. I mean, that's really like that's like a freeway.
Well, you even got a Star Trek connection out of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was everywhere, and nobody knows who he is.
No, he passed away, right? He's
Yeah,
wow.
just a couple of years ago, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was only 3 or 4 years ago that he died.
Mm.
So I found it interesting too that it may just be coincidence, but when Littlest Angel first aired, it was on December 6th, 1969, and that's St. Nicholas Day, the patron saint of children.
Yeah, so that there's the tie-in for that.
Yeah, I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but
yeah, and it's literally, and we're almost, what's today? Today's the 16th, and that was the 6th. So literally 53 years and 10 days ago.
It's Beethoven's birthday, the 16th. Yeah.
Today?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow. How old would he have been, Ross?
1770, he was born. So,
wow. 152.
So
no,
252.
252.
Yeah. 252.
Jeez. Martin's saying you got to watch out for those ants. They will take your rubber tree right out from under you. Anyway. So, yeah. I mean, again, it was a thoughtful movie. It was a holiday type film. And we wanted to cover it.
It was fun to see the cameos, for an adult's perspective. We mentioned all those. George Rose was also in there. He was in film, but also in television, but also stage acting. He was Major General Stanley in the revival of Pirates of Penzance in the 80s. I don't know if you remember that, when Kevin Kline was the Pirate King and Linda Ronstadt was Mabel.
Wow.
Yeah. And, so he was doing all the television talk shows, coming on and doing the patter song. I am the very model of a modern major general. And,
yep.
That was his big claim to fame. I mean, he was in a lot of stuff beside that, but yeah, he came to a very strange end. I'm not going to talk about it, but you can Google it.
You know what's crazy? You just that song that you just said. I was watching I've been watching the Next Generation, Star Trek: The Next Generation. I've been watching, kind of catching up on them a little bit because I haven't watched them in a long time. And there's what episode was it? I think it was Disaster for the folks out there. It was a 5th season episode. The Enterprise hits a quantum filament, and what happens is it's pretty much stopped dead in space, and they have different areas of the ship trying to get through everything, and it's Worf is trying to help Keiko give birth. Picard's trapped in the turbo lift with 2 children, or actually three kids, and he's trying to deal with it, and he sprained his leg. Troy's left on the bridge, and she's left in she's commanding the bridge. She's the senior officer on the bridge, because what happened was the lieutenant that was on the bridge actually got killed, and then she's having a power struggle with Ensign Rowe and dealing with that. And then Riker and Data are trying to get to engineering to make sure that they can get the power back online. So you had all these different scenarios going on. But anyway, and Dr. Crusher is with Geordi in the cargo bay. And right before this happens, she's trying, because what they did was it was like an ongoing thing where she was doing directing theater. And what happened was, oh yeah, that's the episode that originated Captain Picard Day. Exactly. Right. So what happens is, she's trying to get Geordi to do it, and she has a song for him to sing, and he's like, I can't do it. And then she said, try it. And then he starts to sing, and it's that very song
there you go.
that you were just reciting in it.
Gilbert and Sullivan. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. So for any folks
I'm
out
the
there,
very model of a modern major general. I have information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England, and I quote the facts historical from Maryland to Waterloo, from Marathon to Waterloo and order categorical. Yeah,
it's pretty impressive, Ross. Good job.
Yeah, well, I was a big Gilbert and Sullivan guy. in my teens. Yeah, I think I know all of Pirates and all of HMS Pinafore and all of the Mikado and you know all the big ones. And I know the others, but not word perfect. But yeah, I think it's parodied all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it on The Simpsons with, I think it was Sideshow Bob, wasn't that Kelsey Grammer?
Okay.
Yeah, where he holds. I forget, he's going to kill Bart or something like that. He says, "I'm going to send you to hell, but first I'll send you to heaven," with his one man show of or maybe it was HMS Pinafore. I'm sorry, maybe it wasn't Pirates of Penzance. But anyway, Gilbert and Sullivan.
Gotcha. Yeah. So anyway, trip down memory lane there. Yeah, Martin is saying Insurrection. Insurrection has Pirates of Penzance references.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Meaning Star Trek Insurrection. And he's saying Worf, I haven't met all the new crew yet. So anyway, yeah.
And then Sala sings from HMS Pinafore and Raiders.
Oh, okay.
British tar is a soaring soul, you know.
Yeah.
His energetic fist should be ready to resist, you know. But
we haven't covered Raiders, have we?
I thought we did Raiders.
Did we?
Oh no, we did a backdoor thing because that's back when we were really careful about not doing 80s, and then we said the hell with it. Because remember we did Secret of the Incas to kind of talk about the influence on Raiders.
Right. Yeah.
We went up talking about Raiders through that. Yeah. Now we would just say let's do Raiders. Yeah.
Well, Lou is saying Alone Again naturally. Wait, what was Gilbert? What was
Gilbert? Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, so folks, if you have any last minute comments you want to comment on this, please do so. And we're going to start to wind things down. Unless you have any comments that you want to add to that, Ross.
No, I'm already digressing. You can hear me like wrenching the towel.
Wrenching the towel.
It's like, what else can we squeeze out of this? There's plenty to talk about, but I mean, I think we did a pretty fair job with it, you know, without going through all the cast members. Or I mean, we mentioned the cast members.
And I think you're right. Nostalgic wise, that was a huge thing of this film. It really was. Sherry's commenting. She's saying, "Whoops, hang on one second. I thought I had it. Where did it go? Nope, I don't."
Oh, the scary thing is George Rose. Oh, go ahead.
No, Don just commented. He said, "If you're looking for holiday suggestions, might I recommend Black Adder Christmas Carol Special?"
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Well, I haven't seen that either. We'll have to look into that. Thanks, Don.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
What I found very interesting or might terrifying was that George Rose was 49 at the time that he did that. I looked up his dates when he was the celestial psychopomp. Remember when they went to, you know, he always just seems like an older guy to me, you know.
Right.
And here I am, I'm 56, and George Rose is 49. Better preserved.
Martin said a good friend of Engelbert Humperdinck. And then he said, or the Upstart Crows version. I'm not sure what he's talking about, though.
Well, I'm sure there's a conversation going on there.
Yeah, maybe.
I never know with Engelbert Humperdinck if they're talking about the popular singer or the composer.
Right. It could be.
From whose name, you know, he stole his name. Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
Hansel and Gretel. Yeah.
But in regards to That's the Way It Was, back in December 6th of 1969, the number one song in the US was "Na Na Hey Hey Kiss Me Goodbye" by Steam, and the number one song in the UK was the Archies, "Sugar Sugar."
There you go. They don't turn a lyric like that anymore.
No, they don't. So anyway, if you have any last minute comments you want to post out, folks, please do so, and I will come back to them. One last comment that I'm seeing is what Christian just posted, and he said, "Tales from the Crypt and All Through the House, the Joan Collins segment." So yeah, we'll listen to that.
You go from "I am the very model of a modern major general" to "Sugar Sugar."
There you go, Ross.
The decline. In 100 years, the decline of culture. Yeah.
So I'm going to go to the shout outs. So our friends Mike and Mary Beth from Sci-Fi Distilled do science fiction movies and television of the 80s, 90s, and beyond. They are on Wednesday nights. They are going to be breaking the mold this coming Wednesday on December 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they're going to be celebrating the holidays with the 1989 classic film. It's crazy to say 1989 is classic, but it is. Christmas Vacation. And that was the film that starred Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo, I think. Yeah. So that's definitely a good movie, a fun movie. So they will be talking about that on Wednesday. So check it out. And again, that's Sci-Fi Distilled. And also, I want to give a shout out to Countrygate Players. So Countrygate is back, and Bill is out there. My friend Bill from Countrygate, the owner of the theater. And everybody knows the theater had a rough year this year. So this Saturday and Sunday, they are going to be doing their second weekend. So I'm going to say, enjoy the magic of the holidays. And it's Countrygate Players Christmas Review. So you definitely want to check it out. Christmas at Countrygate, songs and stories of the season from your favorite performers. And this will be taking place tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are in the Belvedere, New Jersey area, definitely check it out. And also, if you can't make it tomorrow night, check it out Sunday. And that's going to be on the 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, for information in regards to tickets, you can go to the website for information. You can go to www.countrygate.org, or you can also visit Bill's website for information, and it's www.billscorrado.com. And also, just to let everybody know, there is going to be a murder mystery coming up in February. So I will be posting information about that. That also will be taking place in Belvedere, New Jersey, and also in Harmony, New Jersey at Harkos Hollow. So stay tuned, folks, in regards to that. Also, I want to give a shout out to Captain Phil's Planet, WUSB 90.1 FM, Stony Brook, New York, is where the captain is broadcasting. His schedule is on alternating Thursdays from 3 to 5 p.m. And he's also on Friday nights from 9 to 11:30 p.m. So definitely check it out. And again, that's Captain Phil. And also, I want to give a shout out to Studio One Thrift, Martha and Snow. And Martha was actually out there tonight. So in regards to, they started this business up probably about 8 months ago. So definitely, folks, if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. Their website is www.studioonethrift.com. And they also broadcast on Facebook and they talk about upcoming sales that are taking place, and a lot of the merchandise, a lot of the clothing that they have that's going to be selling on there. And they showcase their lineup for all seasons, all year long. It's quality, stylish, affordable clothing for men and women. And again, you can visit their website. It's www.studioonethrift.com for information. So definitely check it out. And also, Ross, if you can let everybody know what you've got going on.
All right. Well, these are the two shows I've got on WWFM, the Classical Network. Picture Perfect is the movie music show, and that's Saturday night at 6 o'clock. I'll be focusing on the works of Charles Dickens this weekend, and I'll have music from film adaptations of Nicholas Nickleby with music by Lord Berners, Oliver Twist with music by Sir Arnold Bax. He was master of the Queen's music at the time that he wrote that score. And perhaps the King's music. Actually, maybe master of the King's music at that point. I don't think Elizabeth was in yet. She was, 53, right? So this was before that. It's the David Lean movie, anyway, with Alec Guinness as Fagin. Then David Copperfield, film adaptation of that with music by Sir Arnold Bax. And finally, A Christmas Carol. It's known as Scrooge in the UK, where the film was made, and that's the famous Alistair Sim version. With the young Patrick Macnee as the young Marley. The music was by Richard Addinsell, and that'll round out the hour of Dickens adaptations tomorrow night at 6. Sunday night on the Lost Chord. Sunday night is the first night of Hanukkah. So I'll be focusing on, music appropriate for the 8-day Festival of Lights. I'll have David Ludwig's Hanukkah Cantata. I'll have a piece by Ludwig Altman called Theme and Variations on Mazur, or Rock of Ages. And then a klezmer nutcracker performed by the Boston-based ensemble Sharim. So that program is called Ladka Tonic. And it's Sunday night at 10, All Music for Hanukkah on WWFM, the Classical Network. If you can't catch those shows at the times that they're indicated, they will be posted as webcasts later in the week at wwfm.org. I'll be writing about these things on my Facebook page this weekend at Classic Ross Amico. So drop by tomorrow to find out more about Picture Perfect, and Sunday to learn more about the Lost Chord. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Ross. And just to let everybody know, Ross and I will be back. Now, we are going to be back on a special day this week, folks. So we will be back this coming Thursday. There will be no show next Friday. However, there will be a show. It'll be Thursday night. It's going to be December 22nd, and it will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue the shows of the holidays to celebrate the holidays, and we are going to be discussing the 1970 classic film Scrooge. And felt this was an appropriate film because back in the 70s, when this movie was this was actually released theatrically, but growing up, this was a movie that was actually on every year, and it was the Scrooge that I actually had grown up with, and I always used to look forward to it. So we're going to be talking about this movie again. It's going to be a special time. It's not going to be on Friday. It will be on Thursday night, and again, that's December 22nd, and we will be on a half hour earlier, which is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard.
And that's the one with Albert Finney and Alec Guinness.
Yes,
both of who were just mentioned in the last 10 minutes. Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah. So it'll be kind of fun to talk about. So
we're making this segue now. We're no longer science fiction. We're just musicals.
Easy, Ross.
A very subtle transition to the musical.
Yeah, we're doing this. Tonight's was a one-off. Next week's will be a two-off. A one, a two, but that there's not going to be a 3 or 4. So
what about a Rudolph?
Yeah. Yeah. No, we thought it would be kind of fun to do. So anyway, we'll be doing that, and we will hopefully we're going to let you know about the last show of the year, and we're working on it. As far as what it's going to be, it's going to depend upon how everything turns out, as far as having some special guest co-hosts on with us. So we're planning on it being on the 30th, which is going to be Friday the 30th of December. But I am not going to announce what we're going to be discussing yet, because I'm just waiting just to see if everything of all the celestial bodies are going to go into place and all the stars are going to align and everything like that. So anyway, we will announce that shortly, hopefully maybe this weekend. So stay tuned is what I'm saying. And just so you know, it won't be a musical. There you go. Just putting that out there. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Vince. Can always count on Vince. And not to feel left out, Ross. Ross is tie-dye tuxedo musicals.
Tuxedo musicals.
Oh boy. Our viewers have us covered, so it's all good. Anyway, thank you very much, folks, for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. Ross, any last comments, last words before you go?
Haven't I said enough?
In that case, everyone, live long and prosper. Take care of yourselves. And it is the holidays, and it's that time of year. It's a nice time of year for a lot. And then those that are going through, different, some hard times, we wish them well and send our prayers. And actually, I do want to say one thing real quickly. A friend of mine from work, her dad passed away last Saturday. So please give prayers to Gwynn. A lot of times we'll see Gwynn jump on and, and say hi to everybody and everything. And please just, have her in your thoughts and prayers, because she lost her dad last Saturday. So just want to, just put that out there, just, positive thoughts her way, because it's been a tough time for her. So, but with that, enjoy yourselves, enjoy your weekend, be safe, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Right.